A fresh trade confrontation is brewing between the United States and China, with Beijing warning that it could take countermeasures if Washington moves ahead with an additional 7.5% tariff on Chinese imports. The proposed tariff is linked to a U.S. investigation into what Washington describes as excess industrial capacity. China, however, has rejected that argument and accused the United States of using overcapacity as a pretext for protectionism. Chinese Commerce Ministry spokesperson Huang Ling said Beijing would closely monitor and assess Washington's next steps while reserving the right to take all necessary measures. The latest warning comes after reports that the Trump administration is considering a 7.5% tariff on Chinese goods. The proposal reportedly follows a Section 301 investigation launched by Washington in March into 16 economies, including China, over concerns surrounding manufacturing capacity and trade practices. If implemented, the additional duty could bring U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods back toward roughly 20% under the current trade framework. However, the final rate has not been confirmed, and reports indicate that the administration could still change its position before making a final decision. For Beijing, the issue is not simply about another tariff. China argues that Washington is politicizing economic and trade matters and using protectionism to address concerns over industrial capacity. Chinese officials have said that production capacity needs to be assessed objectively and in the context of global supply and demand. Beijing has also previously rejected claims that it deliberately maintains excess capacity to drive exports. The dispute is particularly important because Chinese industries, including electric vehicles, solar panels, steel, and cement, have faced growing scrutiny as companies expand overseas amid weaker domestic demand. The timing of the dispute is also significant. Washington and Beijing are attempting to maintain a fragile trade truce, while President Donald Trump is expected to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping in Washington on September 24th. The possibility of a new tariff before that meeting could complicate efforts to stabilize relations. At the same time, Washington is pursuing other economic measures and trade investigations, adding further pressure to an already sensitive relationship. China has signaled that it wants bilateral relations returned to what it considers the right track, while warning that further unilateral measures could provoke a response. The bigger question now is whether the proposed 7.5% tariff becomes another bargaining tool or the beginning of a new escalation in the U.S.-China trade war. Washington wants to address what it sees as unfair industrial overcapacity and the impact of cheaper Chinese exports on global markets. Beijing, meanwhile, is making clear that it will not simply accept additional trade restrictions without considering its own response. With the Trump-Xi meeting approaching, both sides have an incentive to avoid a major breakdown. But the latest warning shows that tensions remain high. What happens next could affect not only U.S.-China trade, but global supply chains, manufacturing markets, and the broader world economy.
If you like this video, then like, share, and subscribe to Mirror Now.